Hi, my name is Wendy Avila, and I will be making a presentation about appropriate use, um, dealing with fair use in education. To begin with, there's always the question, how do I know if I am using fair use or if I am following the fair use doctrine? One thing we should always keep in mind is that there is always the option of asking for permission. This is really one of the best options we can think of because if we have direct permission from the copyright owner, then we know what their usage requirements are, what their expectations for whatever material they have worked on, or whatever their expectations are, how they want it to be used, and we have that detailed information from them directly. Um, the owner of the copyright does have the right to ask for some type of compensation if you are wanting to use their work. They can also have some guidelines or what some may know as terms of agreement. And when those exist, then the person wanting to use that work should follow those terms of agreement. So some may ask now, well, if all I need is to ask for permission, then why doesn't everybody just do that? There are a couple of reasons why many don't do that, search for that permission. The first one is because it could be very difficult to find the copyright owner. It, they would probably need to find an address or a phone number, an email of some type. So that can really take a lot of time. And so here we see that it can be very time consuming to search out for that copyright owner. Um, Next, you might have to write a letter asking for that permission and then wait to receive that reply from them. And here we can see how inconvenient it can be if a teacher is wanting to teach a lesson on a particular topic and they have this information that would really contribute to the education of the students. Um, so here again, the second reason why some may not opt to search for that permission is because there is no room for spontaneous teaching or even learning. Um, this is why some do not look for that permission. Um, Along that line, we know that there is open license works, and this work here can actually be used by people that find it and they are free to use it. What this is material that is available in the internet, and this is considered to be open resource. This means that the owner has already given permission ahead of time for their published work to be used. So some of this material can be either books, poems, or essays, even videos, pictures, and music. So really anything that is out in the internet can be considered open resources. So where can we find some of these like open license material? This can actually be very difficult to do because one may not know exactly where this material is at. However, there are many magazines or journals that do publish much work in their website. So to find this licensing materials, we pretty much have to dig out. different websites that will offer this. This is available through Creative Commons license. And if all fails, we can always use a search engine such as Google. You can always type in your topic, and there are options there that say free material or have those types of wording that you can get this material for free and you can use it for free. Just because a lot of this is available out on the website does not mean that there are no regulations. One must still consider the amount of the work that's being used. One should always cite the material that's being used, and that way the owner does get due credit. Next, we're going to talk about what is considered fair use. And there are 4 things that we can look at and be sure that they fall under fair use. The first one is for journalistic purposes. And what this means is that people can critique or comment on the work, and they are able to copy part of the work for such purposes. The next one is parody. And this allows for individuals to comment on work and even alter the material so that they make it their own. Next, we're going to look at educational purposes. And this allows for the material to be duplicated, altered, exhibited, and distributed for educational purposes. We can think of this when we are considering classroom projects, when students go out and find either books or magazines, and they take that information and they either alter it to create reports or projects, and then they're able to display those things to parents or science projects and assemblies, different things like that. There are 4 factors that we can look at that will determine if the material we're using is fair use. And those 4 factors include purpose, nature, amount, and what the potential effect on the market will be for that copyright material. One must not confuse the fact that if 3 out of those 4 factors are met, then it can be considered fair use. In reality, all 4 factors must be met in order to claim fair use. So we must always keep in mind that these factors should be met all at the same time. The purpose let's begin with the first one. What is the purpose or character of the work? Well, we can always ask, how and where would the material be used? If the material is used for educational or non-profit purposes, this will most likely be considered fair use versus material that's used for entertainment or for profit. Here we want to look at the transformative issue. This is actually something fairly new that has been brought into the fair use doctrine. And what this states is that if the material is being used in a new inventive manner, then it can be considered fair use. Also, journalistic and parody fair use fall under this. A person can take it and just use whatever material was created if they use it in a completely different environment, or if they change the material to where it creates a new idea, then this would fall under transformative use. Next, we're going to look at the nature of the work being used. The nature of the material refers to the originality and the creativity of the work. And what we look at here is if the material has been factual, and usually when it is, such as a journal article or a magazine article, science study, then this can be considered fair use, and versus work that is fictional or unpublished. When we talk about fictional, maybe a novel, and this actually is considered to be more of an original nature. Next, we are going to talk the amount of the material being used. How much of the material is being used? Well, under the fair use doctrine, one must keep in mind that the whole work cannot be used and still be considered fair use. So there is that a person must use a small and insignificant part of the material so that it could be considered fair use. Next, we're going to look at the market effect. And what this is talking about is how much is my use of the information going to affect the potential profitability of the copyright owner. So is it taking revenue that the owner of the copyright should be entitled to? If so, then it cannot be considered fair use. At the end of the day, as teachers, the responsibility is ours. We should teach our students that all work has an owner, and therefore one must either ask for permission or, if needed, pay whatever compensation the copyright owner deserves. We should always practice the fair use doctrine and have our students see and learn from our example. If we show them that we follow the law, then it is most likely that they will also think twice before they break it. So we always want to keep in mind that as teachers we are role models, and we are always setting an example even if we don't realize it.